Hey, welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. It's good evening because it's coming up for 10 o'clock very soon, and I really wanted to make a comment on the way that things are going at the moment, not by specifically going into the coronavirus, which I don't know about you, but I'm kind of blitzed on that thing. I have so many pieces of information that are being sent to me with the best of intention, and for which I am extremely grateful and appreciative of. But it does seem like by making such an incredible threat globally against everybody, there's no pleasure is there in looking at that. Italy have lost tens of thousands of lives, and so have other countries. Let me see, it's up to about 100,000, I think. Well, not to make this another coronavirus video, which I'm sure that nobody wants. What I wanted to talk about was where it's all going. If you make life dangerous enough, I'm just turning that bonging noise off. If you make life dangerous enough, then people will come and say, yes, you can take away any of my liberties, any of my choices, any of my ability to make a decision for myself. If you, as you say, I'll be safe. At the moment, I think it's London that has the record for the most cameras that are around the city. Because of their severe traffic problem, they have to limit the days that people can come in their car and divert them into using public transport. Now, the thing about London is that it's got excellent public transport. The buses are incredible. The underground is super efficient, and so it's much easier to have those restrictions in that particular way. But the cameras, what it means is that if you go in on a day that you're not supposed to in your car, that supposing you have your schedule changed, and instead of going in on a Tuesday you have to go in on a Wednesday, but you've already organized that you are able to go in on Tuesday in your car because that's when your schedule dictates, and then it gets changed, and now suddenly you're going in on Wednesday, and without thinking you're going in your car. Well, don't worry. There is a camera on your corner which will record your loss of memory, and you get a fine in the post, and they'll send you a nice fit picture. It won't be a whole lot better than your driver license picture, okay, so you won't be posting it on Facebook to get yourself a date, but they'll have a picture there, and they'll have a picture of your number plate, and it goes on. Well, now a couple of things which I wanted to point out, which may soon be totally without our choice, because by making life a fearful thing, a scary thing, then governments can come in and make things that much more controllable for themselves, that much easier. They can do it by, they pose the problem and then let people suffer a little from that problem, and then they come in and say, we can handle this, we can make this safe. All you have to do is just vote this in. And on the list, boy, do we have a list of things waiting for us in order to make life easier for the government. It's not going to make life easier for us, except that we will have had the promise of a safer life. Right, well, we've got vaccines. Now, the number of vaccines that go into a newborn baby is colossal, and I don't want to argue whether vaccines work or not, because that's not the context of what I'm trying to outline. What I'm trying to point out is that our choices are being taken away from us, and they do this very cleverly. What have some of the worst decisions that have ever been made, like in my opinion, the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve was sneaked in at a time when most of the Congress were on vacation or away on a day off, or it was the weekend, or it was midnight or something, and then suddenly we wake up and we've got the Federal Reserve. So you've got a private company printing the money for the people via the government. Now you've got that, and we're suffering from that. Now the other thing, apart from the vaccine thing, of just how many you are required to have and whether they all work. I mean, evidently some have worked because they've cured things like polio. So I'm not arguing about whether vaccines specifically can work. Only the fact that once you are told this is what you need, your choice can be taken away from you, especially if it's a travelling thing. We have a friend who's waiting now because of the coronavirus, stopping travel. He's waiting to come, and he's had such a lot of different vaccines for everything. A preventive vaccine even for rabies. I had that course of injections when I was bitten, when we were in Bassac before we came to Bohol, and I was bitten, and Beth, she was working in a hospital at the time, and the next thing I know I'm down at the hospital and I'm being injected in the face. Not a pleasant thing, I can tell you. Anyway, yeah, I'm still here, so we'll assume that that's one up for the for that particular vaccine. But what else have we got coming up? They're trying to make it a cashless society. They're going to tell us that digitalizing money will make everything so easy. Now, I did have an experience of this when I went to the UK, which I've talked about on several occasions, and that is, I had a card that was bought for me by my son and his fiancée. Here's a card, and we'll show you how to use it. And this was a card that was so sensitive that I could keep it in my pocket, and when we went on the underground, I would just take my wallet, which was about this size, just take it and run it over the sensor, which would allow me to pass through the gate when we went on the underground. It worked on the buses, and who knows what else it would work on too. But that was a transportation card. No money. How did you get that? You paid for it by your credit card. The Constitution of America, and I'm no expert, but I know that the right to bear arms is one of the most fiercely fought over parts of the Constitution. Amendments, they make them. And people generally don't know what the amendments are. I can watch people who are self-appointed knights fighting in our favor by not submitting to just giving up when they're stopped for no reason in a car. And these guys know exactly what the law is. They know that they don't have to wind their window all the way down. They don't have to submit to a search. There has to be probable cause. The cop cannot just stop you simply because he has a quota to make up. Now I've had this in the UK. When I've been stopped and they've said, weaving about a little bit, aren't we, sir? No. They've chosen the wrong one to try that one on because I'm a teetotaler. But they'll try it. Now, these guys who know their business and know exactly what their rights are can talk these cops who are behaving unconstitutionally, and they can talk them into the ground. Now, they do risk getting the crap beaten out of them if the cops are of that kind, and let's face it, there's enough cases of where that has happened, and where, because of our social media, it's up when someone has been killed, say by a policeman, and it was out of order. If it was not in pursuit of the correct way to handle the situation, the next thing it's on Facebook or it's on YouTube, and many people who are behaving badly are found out because of that. So the cashless society is one thing, the chip is the other, 5G is another thing that's going to be coming up, because 5G, touching on my talking about how surveillance is very, very high in London. Now, if 5G comes in and they have not cleared it of being healthy for everyone, because it is by microwave, they have to have, in order to bring about 5G, which we are being told will give us instant online communication. Well, wouldn't that be wonderful? Because, I mean, I would love instant online communication, especially here in the Philippines, which is, at the moment, is not doing too well on giving a great service. But they're earning a terrific amount of money with what they're doing, so they're not going to spend a great amount of money on earning more if the difference is not enough. So there's a ratio there which people who are much cleverer than I are can work out. So if the 5G comes in, they're going to have an antenna every, I think it's about maybe 1,000 meters, could be 100, I'm not sure. And in doing that, it will mean that we can be spotted anywhere that we are. They will know everything. And as I've tried to make light of it before, you know, if you couple that with the use of the chip, right? So, let's say that you went along for a flu shot, and suspicious man that I am, when it comes to these things, in with the flu shot is a little tiny chip that you can't even, I don't suppose whether it's put into your forehead, biblically speaking, or into your hand, whether you'll really be able to feel it. It might just be something that at first is, you know, perhaps slightly annoying. What is that? And you won't dream of having it taken out, and probably you couldn't get a doctor to do it. Now, as soon as that goes in, boy, put 5G and universal surveillance into action, and how everything that we buy, everything that we buy, every single thing from this to this, will have a chip. And whatever else goes into that product, a chip will go in. And if a chip is in there, then it doesn't matter what you are doing. There'll be no escape. There's no privacy. They'll know how many pieces of toilet paper you want to wipe your bum. But that's if you've got any toilet paper at the moment. So the main theme of what I'm trying to say is to get people who haven't been led there by a better talk than this, to actually look at the fact that by being totally unaware of how much can be done in the name of convenience, what we will lose. You know, if you take an aspirin makes, as far as I am informed, as far as I read, aspirin makes the stomach bleed. So if you can't take aspirin, that's what's probably happening. So you get a bad stomach. So they started to put in milk and called it milk of magnesia, and one thing was supposed to offset the other. Now, there's so many things there which are being taken out of our control, which I feel that we should be aware of. If you've ever heard of a company called Monsanto are going around the country and they are selling a superior, quote unquote, a superior seed, say for wheat or for corn or whatever it is. The only thing is that it works once. Now it's superior and you buy it. Well, you've got to buy, if you're a farmer, you've got to buy seed anyway. So you go out and you buy the seed, and they'll encourage you to buy that, probably by giving you a break on the price. And you go out there and you use it once. Now, you don't have a crop that's generating its own seed anymore. It's seedless. Now, here's where the bite in the butt comes, is that they own that seed. They own the patent or patent on that seed. They've patented that genetically modified seed, and you've got to buy it because you've got to buy it like this. You don't go into the store and take one of these off the shelf and say, well, I mean, it's free, isn't it, anymore? So the same for the seeds. And what's been happening in America especially is that you still have farmers out there who are farming their own land, not these huge great tracts of land that you see these monster machines farming. And what can happen is that the seeds from a crop next door can be blown as they are, and they can be blown into the field of a small farmer. Now, they have guys who are experts at identifying what seed is being used. So even though the seed was not something that was under the control of the small farmer, they can actually take him to court for using what is their property, right? And some of these small farmers are being put out of business. This is all to do with taking away our choices. Now, just imagine if we are on a cashless society, your money, however you use it. I mean, for instance, if you're providing a service and somebody comes up and they take your service, they're not going to pay in cash, they're going to show their card, and you will flash the card over your little unit which records it, similar to when you swipe your credit card presently. Alright, so then that goes to the bank, they put that money into your account, there's no money, of course. The figures go into, they change the figures from this account or this column to that column. And then if you need something, you'll go to the grocery store and you'll swipe that card as well. Or even, it may not even be that. You may just show your hand, or I don't know, look them in the forehead. If you've got it in your forehead, you might do that as well. So we will live, if they have their way, we will live in a place where you can't even give a kid 20 pesos and say, here son, go and buy an ice cream. You can't even do that, you know. And that's taking away the choices of free people. Plus, of course, the final thing will be if you do not behave. That's behave according to what the government deems is good behavior. And what they do then is they simply stop the card. Your chip is de-chipped for the moment until we can bring you around to behaving properly again. Have a look at what life is like in North Korea and how they'll quickly put you into prison there if you mention the wrong thing. And there they will attend to changing your behavior. Not too nicely either. So, chips, cashless society, the 5G, vaccines without any opinion being taken into whether you agree or not. It just goes on. Genetically modified food without labeling it. That's another thing. They don't allow this, I think, in the UK or in Europe. But in the States now, I believe, if it's not there already, it's fast approaching that genetically modified food is on the shelves and you don't know whether it is or not. So, we need to be aware of what is happening. We need to be aware, and we need to not agree with Mr. Joe Biden when a worker attempted to talk to him about something when he was on one of his campaigns, and he said to Joe Biden, wait a minute, you work for me. And Joe Biden says, no, I don't work for you. And I don't think he said it as nice as that. So these people who are going to make our life go in a certain way are working for us, and we need to be aware of that. That's all from me. It's gone on too much anyway. Bye for now. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and maybe you can share. Bye for now.